I'm beginning with a very basic idea, and this is no different from in-person classes. It's this idea that, do your students feel like they can make a difference? Or are they just mastering a set of facts? And similarly, do they appreciate the connections of how what you're doing in your class, whether in person or online, connects with things in the world? The idea of service learning is not new. The new part is thinking how this can be employed in tactical and practical ways when you transition to the online world. Let me give you a very, very quick overview of service learning if you haven't used it yourself or you're less familiar. Your students serve in the community for a specified number of hours as part of your class. You're selecting sites or partners that obviously connect in terms of your content. The service work is meaningful and connects in substantive ways with this. So you don't have students who are doing filing at sites or painting walls, all of which can be very helpful in a volunteer way, but they're really engaging in meaningful ways. The site has to benefit as well because it's a mutual relationship. In as much as if the students are doing great things there, but the site really doesn't need the students to do those great things, we're not doing good service by them. And what happens is there's this synergy between what you're doing in your class and what you're doing in the field, and students are reflecting, discussing, and doing this as written assignments. Now, Roosevelt has a very specific brand of service learning that we call transformational learning, and we champion this through the Mansfield Institute for Social Justice and Transformation. We direct service learning so that students work with disenfranchised populations. People who've been oppressed, or students have the opportunity to think micro to macro, meaning not only just helping poor people, but thinking why is there poverty, and trying to affect change on that level as well. And as they grapple with these social issues, cutting across the curriculum, they're thinking about their own values, and their beliefs, and their identities, and who they want to be. Here's where this gets more relevant for today. Is transformational service learning still possible for online learners? And the answer is yes, it is. Although oftentimes we don't think of this. We think of this technology as being depersonalizing and creating barriers to the community because we're thinking about the pajama version. If they're sitting at home in their pajamas, do they want to go out and about into the community? Still possible. Now, there's different ways of doing this. And I'm going to talk about 4 concrete methods. But it is interesting to think of the different combinations and how this works. You can have your instruction in person or through an online course. You can have the service element in person or online, which creates 4 different combinations. The most traditional, obviously, is an in-person class and going to a site and doing service in person. But that's not the only way. You can have an online course where students provide in-person service. An online course where the service is online, and again, an in-person course with online service. They're all wonderful ideas that can be well tailored. The one that might be the easiest to start off in understanding is this idea of a localized service learning model. I do this with my field placement with children and families. It's an online-based class, but the students are spread out. And what happens is they have to find placements in their own communities. Most of this is Metro Chicago, but it doesn't have to be, that meet the criteria for the class. So they're working with children in different schools, social service agencies, hospitals, but they don't have to be in Chicago. So students have the criteria, they're finding partners. I'll be approving and monitoring the service remotely. But how do I know what's available in Nebraska? I don't. I can have it incumbent on the students to do this, but I can also direct them to wonderful resources, Volunteer Match, Idealist.org, AllForGood.org, that if you input parameters, will find relevant sites in all of these different communities. Here's a different model as well. The students communicate with partners online, meaning they don't have to go to the site anymore. So students are interacting with the site remotely through email, video conferencing, or telephone. And they're providing the service work here because it's research or technical assistance that can be done off-site. So we've had students do this where they're doing research for the site so that the site, the not-for-profit, can submit a grant. So they get the idea of what the partner needs. They want to prep a large grant. They don't have the research staff to do it. Our students perform that, and it connects in with their class, and they can deliver a product remotely. Typically, we choose a local partner, but it doesn't have to be a local partner. It could be some places very far away. But as long as the students know what it is that the partner site likes or needs and can have ongoing feedback through video conferencing or email or telephone, it still works well. Students can create online products so that students and the site collaborate in creation of materials for the internet. Now, what happens in this model is that the products ultimately will be placed online. So rather than an in-person document, the grant proposal, students are lending technical competence to provide assistance. So oftentimes you're looking at a not-for-profit that might not have a technical support staff. They don't know how to do a Facebook page. And they know that Facebook is what the kids nowadays are using. So they figure you find the kids in the class and they're going to help them with the Facebook. Or Twitter. Or other forms of social media. Or something with a blog. I heard the blogging is a big deal.
Your official Italian brochure.
No, that's generic Long Island, half Jewish, half Italian, getting kind of merged. That's the fallback. Those are people. So this one has been done last year by Jan Bode, where she partnered with the Northwest Suburban Alliance on Domestic Violence. And this is part of a broader partnership that if you have any interest at all in participating, Jennifer Tanney is coordinating this in our outreach office. So if your topic can connect in, we have an amazing community partner for you. Her students did interviews and then put blogs up. Each week, another student would have their blog posting put up, thematically connected into the agency's needs. It was a wonderful opportunity when the students see a product they published online. This could be legislative alerts or any other form of web media. Again, but it allows for the greater distance. Other things, online advocacy service learning. Students can create YouTube videos to present awareness of information or internet advocacy and activism. This one is so unique and special for Roosevelt. Now, I'm not going to bother trying to hook it up and make it go, but there's the link at the bottom and there's the URL that I gave you at the top, the tinyurl.com/Myers-online2. This one was Tammy Oberg de la Garza's class. She had her students partner with an elementary school in Little Village. And her students got a wonderful opportunity to immerse themselves in the neighborhood. So it was in person. But what they learned, they shared through videos that they placed online. These are wonderful personal narrative accounts that highlight the struggles of literacy in different communities in Chicago. We've had these similar for issues of youth violence and other social inequalities. And this is where we tie in the transformational learning part. It's addressing inequalities, highlighting awareness about them. The most radical, cyber service. Students provide services to others that are traditionally delivered face-to-face. This could be done completely in the pajama model in your bedroom. We think about these things as only available when you go out into the community to make it happen, like tutoring, mentoring, teaching, visiting. A completely online course could utilize resources so that students can have these substantive interactions with very hard to reach populations in fact, transformational ways by leveraging the internet. Now, I gave you those URLs a couple of slides back from Volunteer Match and Idealist. what you do to find these is they have a subset called virtual volunteering. It's typically a tab. Sometimes you have to navigate to get to the advanced search. These virtual volunteering opportunities come up. Most of them are designing products for the web. So they wouldn't fit into this method 4. But there's a subset. And here's one example. A kind voice listener. Be a kind voice for somebody who needs to talk. A kind voice is a hybrid between a counseling hotline and a radio call-in show. With a kind voice, folks call in to talk about movies, sports, books. We're recruiting listeners nationwide. It's a very interesting idea. This was just the first screen that I think I found this one. But they're teen talk lines that are not quite crisis lines, but connection lines. Here's another one that I found amazingly compelling. You could conduct online English classes for children in India. This site is run through the United Nations. The URL is onlinevolunteering.org, and there are not very many of them. So there were only maybe 5 or 6, but they rotate through. So you can have your students providing online instruction. Just think about that. I think it's wild. When we're talking about globalizing information, or globalizing connections with Roosevelt, where so many of our students are place-bound for a variety of reasons, where we have wonderful international learning opportunities that only a small subsection take advantage of. They're under 50 a year. Chuck Milton has a stock line at commencement. He tells students, get a passport, see the world. What an amazing opportunity to develop a relationship with somebody thousands of miles away, connecting into your course, developing a relationship, and developing insight. This is the idea that's so counterintuitive for so many people. The internet provides a powerful medium for service learning that connects our students with their communities. Rather than being something that's an impediment or a barrier, if we are creative, we can leverage the things we're doing in the classroom to create enduring experiences in the community. We're doing this at Roosevelt now. Many people in different units have had service learning in exclusively in-person environments. A subset are doing this through the internet. But as we go more and more into this, there's more and more opportunity. I want to end with some resources. Because sometimes several people as I look around have actually do service learning themselves. But if you haven't, in-person or online, the Mansfield Institute is here to help you. We have a small grants program every spring for the following year, in which we distribute several hundred to up to several $1,000s to instructors. So our largest grant last year was up to about $3,000. We have the ability to find you community partners. So you tell us your theme area, we help find you partners in the community. We're able to highlight your work through our blog. We're able to connect you into the mission for social justice for the institution, which is a very rewarding issue. And service learning, again, is a powerful technique that's been shown to have enduring effects in terms of student learning outcomes, retention outcomes, and even psychological health and well-being. So if you're thinking about this, and it has a good amount of work involved. I'm not saying it's always the easiest thing. The thing I'm saying is an amazingly worthwhile thing, and we're here to help. So, thank you very much.